Global Solar. Now, today we're talking about business. We're taking a look at how the business environment is faring in the country. And of course, solar, is it business viable? Good morning and welcome, Mr. Ngoma.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
I'm all right. I can't complain. But first of all, your company is Global Solar.
Yes, it is.
I should be thinking that you deal with solar energy.
Yes, we do.
All right, roughly, what do you do in terms of solar energy?
Our company actually is, as you've said it, is a technology company which provides everything that's relating to solar and renewable energy in general. We do the designing, we do the supply, and even the installations of the same.
All right. Yeah. Now, one would be wondering nowadays, that especially at this day and age, what are the benefits of solar energy? Why, per se, for me as a person, why should I move on to solar energy?
Okay, there are a number of reasons that should convince you to move towards renewable energy. First and foremost, due to the degradation of the ozone layer, most of the resources that we've been using, like hydropower, has not been sufficient enough to provide enough energy to everybody. Population is growing, and industries are growing. So, but with the renewable energy and with solar technology, it's a technology that has always been there. It's a technology that comes and goes every day. And it's a technology that is still growing, and it will still be there. And apart from that, it's a technology that is more reliable than the others, because as I already said, the other technologies are depleting. Even oil these days, it's also depleting. Oil companies are turning into solar now. Oil countries are turning into solar. Go to Saudi Arabia. Now they're investing huge amounts of money into solar technology because they have foreseen that there is no future in fossil fuels.
Okay, I like the way you said it. Huge amounts of money. That means solar energy is very expensive, right? Because you just didn't say money. You said huge amounts of money. Is it affordable?
I mentioned, yeah, it is affordable.
But you said huge amounts of money.
Yes, I said huge amounts of money because you are talking of a country that has been relying on a resource that has been there for years. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we know Saudi Arabia as a country that is able to get oil very cheap. For them to sort of switch to another source of energy, to them it's like another huge investment. But also, yes, it's not very cheap, but the technology, because it's becoming popular across the world, it's becoming even cheaper now. Now you see most countries can even afford, most individuals can even afford the technology because it's becoming cheap.
How affordable is it in our country?
It's quite affordable.
Quite affordable.
Yes.
What range are we putting quite affordable? Who can afford to use solar energy? Are we looking at the low earning person, medium earning person? Obviously the high can afford, but where do we start from? Do we start from medium or low?
It's across the board.
It's across the board.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. When you talk about across the board, which factors are we?
The technology is not like one fits all.
Okay.
One size fits all. Mm-hmm. There are different sizes of the technology. We have Pico solar systems, which somebody can just use for lighting, to charge the mobile phone, and for radio, something that can afford to buy for mere 10,000 kwacha, 15,000 kwacha, but will be able to charge your mobile phone, be able to use some lighting, and you'll be able to listen to the radio. Technologies are coming which are making this even more affordable by coming up with technologies that are not consuming that much power. So that if it doesn't consume that much energy, it means the investment is not very much. You need very little energy for you to achieve the same kind of lighting that you're looking for.
All right, now looking at solar energy and of course the rural areas, most of the rural areas here do not have electricity.
Yes.
And solar energy could possibly be an option for them. Is there any package that is there or available for the people in the rural areas?
Yes, we do have, as I already said, we have different packages, starting from the Pico systems. The Pico are the small systems.
So the Picos, I want to find out which one is for Picos for the rural areas here in the country.
Not quite. It depends, because even in the rural areas, people can also afford some medium-sized systems. Mm-hmm. We have solar home systems, which may be a single panel, maybe 100 watt or 50 watt, a single battery, regulator, and some bulbs. That should be able to give you, depending on the size of your load, will be able to give you enough power for your lighting, for TV, and radio. Now, depending on the size of your load, others will opt to have maybe multiple of those panels. Somebody can have a 100-watt system. Somebody will have half a kilowatt system. Another one will have a kilowatt system. So you scale it up according to how you want to use it. So in terms of sizes and in terms of the cost, it all depends on how you want to use it and how much you can afford it.
How much power does this generate? Because we're taking a look at grid power that's being used in a lot of factories around the country. Could solar energy replace grid power, or does it bring out enough power enough to replace grid power?
It can replace grid power.
It can?
It can replace grid power because we have technologies in other countries. Actually, they have launched some huge plants. You know, you're talking of gigawatts of power, supplying like maybe the whole city. We're not talking of city of Blantyre, but big cities. You know, so that is possible. Even here in Malawi, there have been some interest. A number of companies, foreign companies, most of them are foreign companies, are actually geared to introduce like 100 megawatts of power, 40 megawatts of power. So that is slowly coming because it's a new technology. It's not very popular. Like here in Malawi, when you talk of sizes, I'll tell you maybe the biggest is, the one like at the airport, which is 830 kilowatt. Not even a megawatt, but it powers the whole airport.
It's able to power the whole
exactly.
airport.
That one actually, it works like this only during the day because it doesn't have any storage. So like during the day, all the energy requirements at the airport are being catered by that plant. So for some of you who have seen it, it's quite a big yard of panels.
All right, now taking a look at how well you take care of these solar panels, this, that. I want to find out the whole process itself quickly. Run us through how it works. How does we just see panels? We just see the panels, and then you find out there's not going to be electricity. Where is the power going to be generated from? What happens during rainy season? You know, stuff like that.
Okay. In the first place, what generates electricity is the radiation from the sun. I'm not talking radiation, the light.
So it's not the heat.
Yeah, the light from the sun.
Okay.
Others, they get mistaken. They think, okay, because I stay in Nsanje, I'll be producing a lot of solar. So it's the intensity of the light, not the heat. In fact, the panels perform better in a cooler environment as long as the light is enough. Because if it's too hot, then the performance also is affected. So the radiation from the sun is the one that actually, when it falls on the silicon crystals on the panels, it changes the radiation energy of light into electricity. So that electricity, you can use it direct to your load. If it's 12 watt and you've got a 12 watt gadget, it works straight away. But since the sun intensity keeps varying, changing, there's clouds and all, normally we have a battery that will stabilize it. Apart from stabilizing it, the battery will store the energy for any time. It will be used at any time when there is no sunlight. And then there is a charge controller. The charge controller is a gadget that actually makes sure that when you're producing too much energy into your battery, you should not.
When there's too much energy from the sun going into your battery.
Into your battery.
Okay.
If it's too much, you end up blowing up the battery.
Or does that?
It just keeps.
Does that happen?
It just keeps. Yeah, just keeps charging. So we advise that every system must have a charge controller. Just like even in your car. In your car, there is a regulator that will regulate your battery from getting overcharged. If it overcharges, then it starts boiling inside. There's some liquid inside there, and then it may even burst. Then you start feeling. Smelling some acidic smells and stuff, which is not very good. So the charge controller will regulate the charge, and at the same time, because we always want to make sure that the battery is not drained that much. Lifespan of the battery is elongated if the depth of discharge is how much you drain your battery from full charge.
Okay.
Yeah. So most of the time,
like a phone battery. Let's use a phone battery for example. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for how much you drain the phone battery from from charging?
Yes.
Okay.
So, for example, in most cases, we make sure that you don't have to drain it completely.
It doesn't have...
It doesn't have to.
Okay.
And the charge controller will cut at a certain set point.
Okay.
Most of the designs that we do, we design them to cut off at 50%. So if your battery is 100 Ah, which is ampere hours, defining number of hours, you can draw constantly a certain current from the battery. It's like hours times time. So if you increase the hours, it means you
getting
draw more.
very technical.
Exactly,
I see.
exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
let me pull down, and let me pull off that.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's clear, at least that we're in line and we know exactly what we're doing. But then another question would be is that how well have Malawi has received solar technology? Are we aware of solar technology, or we're still on that level that...
Awareness has been quite an issue. The government has tried its best, I must admit. I've worked with government projects for a number of years. Some projects have started, have ended, purely to make sure that they bring awareness to the general populace. You're talking of barrier removal to renewable energy. It was a project, a 5-year project, which was funded by UNDP. The idea was just to bring awareness.
Which was
remove
unsuccessful.
all the barriers. Remove all the barriers. You know, it did its part. It did its part.
Was it successful?
Yes. Yes, I would say partially it was
Partially
successful.
it was
yes.
successful, okay.
The only thing that I've noticed is that we still lack demonstrable technologies.
Okay.
We haven't been able to demonstrate the technology. In terms of training, Malawi is well trained on the...
So wait, I need to understand this.
Yes.
Malawi is well trained,
Yes.
but Malawi is yet another country that cannot demonstrate how,
Yes,
how
correct,
solar energy
correct,
works.
correct.
Okay, what is the link between the two? The training and the demonstration. What needs to become in? What needs to get in between the two for them to combine?
The industry.
The industry.
And yeah, especially the industry.
So what? The players in the industry have not worked
even
on
the
solar
government
technology?
itself as well, because you notice we've had engineers graduating since time immemorial from Polytechnic. Right now, actually, there is a separate department, I'm told, that is actually concentrating on renewable energies. Then we have Mzuzu University that has got a full course, a full class, graduating every year students in renewable energy with BSc. Now, what has happened is every year these are graduating, but they get into the industry, they don't have anything that can challenge what they have learned. I've employed or engaged some of the graduates from Mzuzu University. Sometimes you really struggle to get them to understand the practical aspect of what they have learned 4 or 5 years in college. The only problem is that they haven't been able to practice.
Is it because we don't have a training facility as a country?
The training is there, everything. Okay, at the institution level is there.
The practical facility for training is there at the institutional level?
I believe they have, but if they only do that like in a lab, maybe not to that extent. But what I would expect is that the government and the industry, if they're working closely hand in hand with the University of Mzuzu and the Polytechnic, they will make sure that whatever things they're doing, they must also have that component of training, or bringing exposure. They could have a very big project. It doesn't matter, okay, to be renewable or anything else. But if they know that there is an institution that is training students that are learning that technology, why not have a provision of having them as part of the implementation team?
Okay, Mr. Nkoloma, I've got a quick question.
Yes.
Earlier on, you did explain to me that the hugest plant, or when it comes to solar energy, where a lot of energy is generated, is at the airport.
Yes.
Okay? And you said it doesn't even get up to
a
megawatt in terms of energy that is there. Now, if you look at the airport and everybody who's graduating, do we expect everybody to go work at the airport? Or
No. That system was installed way back. Okay, some years back.
Are there other systems that have been installed now?
When implementing it, not to work there, but when they're doing the installation, if we can go back and ask, because that one is a Japanese donation that went through the government of Malawi. If you go there and then try to find out how many of the students or those that are industry were involved in the actual implementation of that project, you will not find any.
Are there enough projects in the country that have been created that the students can actually be there for implementation? Because I mean, there have to be. It's a two-way thing. That
Yes.
there has to be a project that is happening that the students have to go witness. Do we have enough projects happening in the country? Is this where you're blaming government?
Yeah, unfortunately, most of them are coming from the industry.
Okay.
Like, you know, from the 830 kilowatt system. I'll tell you, I think the next is 30 kilowatt, which is right here in Blantyre.
Okay.
At Beehive. Second largest, it was our own installation in Likoma Island. I would say maybe third, that is 15 kilowatt. There could be others, but well, there is another 7.5 kilowatt that we did at a hospital in Zomba. These ones are technologies, modern technologies, which will are not only there to provide energy as we know it, as solar as we know it, but they're also able even to be able to supply to the grid. If you have so many of them, multiples of them, and you're producing more than what you can consume, there are technologies, and some of them are one of them, like the one at Likoma Island, only that it's not activated to do that because the government has not regulated it. If you're producing more, Likoma Island, it just has a hospital. If that hospital is able to produce more than what it needs during the day, the rest will be sold back to the grid.
Okay, so it'll be sold back.
Exactly.
Okay. Unfortunately, time's not allowing us. Lastly, what can you say about renewable energy for Malawi as a nation? Why is it important?
Okay. For Malawi, renewable energy is very, 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 very important. And that's the way that the country and everybody else has to go. Because as you have seen, every time we have these problems with power outages and stuff, we have technologies and solutions that will, even here in town, because people think that solar is only for the villages. You can use solar technology to complement on ESCOM, whereby when the ESCOM has failed, automatically this will kick in. In fact, during the day, why do you want to have your solar as a backup when you're able to produce it and receive it freely? So we make our systems as a primary source of energy supply. So whenever the sun is there and you're using it, it powers up your equipment. And whenever there is not much in the batteries, then ESCOM kicks in. And whenever ESCOM is not there, and then there is power from your solar system, then you use it from the batteries. And another thing that I would want to encourage the government and all those that are interested in this sector is to make sure that we protect this technology. I've been to countries where, you know, my company has been involved in huge projects, just neighboring Mozambique. We've been there for 2 years, done massive projects. The only thing that they do there, what I've learned, which Malawi must also follow suit, is to make sure that whenever there is something big to do with renewable energy, use the right expertise. Make sure you have people that would be able to direct even the company that is doing the installation, like inspectors, like in Mozambique on our project that we do. You know, any big project, any government project has got 3 components.
All right.
The contractor, the client, and the consultant. The consultant is like an inspector.
Unfortunately, you are not going to be able to carry on. But I think the message is very loud and clear, and Malawians should understand that renewable energy is the future.
Correct.
Breakfast Live carries on. We're speaking to the managing director of Global Solar, that is Mr. Andrew Mkoloma, explaining about solar energy and, of course, the advantage of solar energy. Time and time again, we think solar energy is only for the rural areas. No, 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 no. It's not like that. We can also use it right here in town. Breakfast Live carries on. Stay tuned.
chimwemwe chenicheni chafika, kusangalala kwenikweni komauko. Azam TV. Khalani mmodzi mwa anthu ochitira umboni zakukoma kwenikweni kwa Azam TV. Ndiyo sabola nthumba 25,000 kwacha siti yonse plus miyezi itatu yoonera mwaulere, kapena 13,000 kwacha dikoda ndi miyezi iwiri yoonera mwaulere. Machanelo opitirira 80 ndipo tusipokhapo angakhale ndi 1,800 kwacha yokha basi mungathe kulipira buke yoonera machanelo osachepera 20 akunja komanso kwathu konkuno. Nsangulutso, masebero, nkhani ndi zina zambiri zonsezo pa Azam TV. Kapezeni yanu mzigawo zonse za dziko lino, kumpoto, pakati ndinso kumwera, kapena apezeni pa WhatsApp kapena kuwayimbira pa nambara zotsatirazi. Azam TV, chisangalalo cha aliyense.
Kuba ndizimene kuyerekebere weyoso zimene kuti shayinira pamene papazo
masamu ndikuzindikira chani mapata
mphepo yakupeza ndi ndalama yakupeza mphepo uyankhula ngati ndani
no, will not take kindly to such praise as occasioned by the state.
ndipo aumbali yabonga ngwena chinjizira kuti nthawi ina zimene wakupemphazi zizatha kutheka unali ndi nthawi wandipesa
Loweruka